Hey everybody, Ash here with Gents with another weekly rotation video. I'm going to start switching these up a little bit. I'm going to start doing each week's rotation with a theme. It kind of keeps it interesting for me too, because I have so many different fragrances. You know, if I have to fit them into a specific theme, then I have to think a little bit more about what I'm going to wear each day. So this is going to be the first week of doing my rotation like this with a different theme. And this week the theme is highly complimented fragrances. So these fragrances that I wore over the past week are all fragrances that can pull compliments easily. Got a few niche, a few designer, good variation of things here. Let's go ahead and jump into this. First up, 12, 15. What fragrance was I wearing that day? It was this one, Parfums de Marley Leighton. And if you've seen my winter top 10 niche list, this was actually #1 in that list. Apple, vanilla, cardamom, lavender, some of the notes here. And this is in an upcoming video with my wife where she smelled and rated 10 winter fragrances. So be on the lookout for that, and I'll give you kind of a spoiler. She really likes this one. Super easy to wear, super easy to pull compliments with. It's got a dense vanilla and apple combo. Smells great in cool weather. It's fresh, warm, spicy, sexy. This one gets compared, I've said this before, to Hugo Boss Bottled, like a very niche version of Hugo Boss Bottled, like a modernized and higher quality one. Just a great fragrance, smells awesome, and the bottle looks slick too, like most Parfums de Marley bottles. I mean, they look nice. And of course they've got that heavy cap that you can throw at people and use as a projectile weapon if you have to. So 12-15, I was wearing Parfums de Marley Leighton. Easy to pull compliments with that one. I've gotten them multiple times unsolicited wearing that fragrance. Next up, 12-16, this is a Paco Rabanne, but not the Paco Rabanne that was in my top 10 winter designer list. It's the other flanker that I really like. This one, 1 Million Lucky. Get a good reflection there. Hazelnut, honey, and plum, some of the main notes here, and that lets you know what kind of fragrance this is. The opening has hazelnut and plum. It's a little bit fruity, very sweet. The dry down has honeyed woods. So yeah, another sweet fragrance, but women love this one. Pulls compliments easily. My wife loves it as well. It's a real deal compliment beast, really good for clubs and nights out. Now, if you don't like fragrances on the sweeter end of things, you may not like that one all that much. But if you're after compliments, not too many fragrances do better than this one. I also reviewed that one earlier in the year, so if you're interested, you can check that review out for a little bit more information on that one. As far as 1 Million flankers go, that one and 1 Million Privé are my two favorites. And 1 Million Lucky has started to show up at discounters, but it's not really discounted all that heavily yet. It's still like $70 for a 100 ml bottle. Still though, that's a little better than paying full price, and 1 Million Lucky is a great compliment getting fragrance. Gonna take me to 12-17, what I wore that day. It is my newest fragrance out of this lot. It is Coach Platinum. Vanilla, cashmeran, and pineapple are some of the notes here. And this one was actually kind of picked out by my wife. Back a few weeks ago, I went around to the local stores, which all are pretty crappy to be honest, and had her sample a lot of the newer releases. Now I've said this before, but around where I live, it's basically Ulta, Sephora inside of JCPenney, and Belk. We don't even have a Macy's. So we went around to each one of those stores and tried all the newest stuff that they had that I hadn't sampled yet and that I didn't own. So that included the One Gray, Jimmy Choo Blue, the Nick Jonas John Varvatos fragrance, Armani Code A-List, Yves Saint Laurent Y Eau de Parfum, and then Coach Platinum. Some of those fragrances she didn't like very much, others she thought were really nice, and this one is the one she picked as her favorite. And honestly, it wasn't really close. I sprayed this one on, she smelled it, immediately said, that's my favorite one. And so that's why I got it. It's got a pineapple, cashmere, and open, and she actually picked the pineapple out immediately, which is really interesting because that's kind of a random note. You really don't think of that note being used in fragrances other than Aventus and Aventus clones. But she picked out the pineapple right away on this one. Also has a nice vanilla dry down. Some similarities to other really popular designer fragrances out there, but I'll talk about that in a future review on this fragrance, so I won't go into too much detail here. But as a universally appealing, fresh fruity opening and a nice vanilla dry down, it's just one of those great smelling, mass appealing fragrances that easily pulls compliments. I also like the original Coach from Men, and I like this one as well. Coach maybe is not making the most groundbreaking fragrances, but they are really nice. All right, gonna take me to 1218. I was wearing a Dolce & Gabbana. It is a version of the one, but it's not the Eau de Toilette or the Eau de Parfum. It's the one Royal Night. There we go, see it a little bit better there. Cardamom, amber, sandalwood, and cedar, some of the notes here. Now this is similar, obviously, to the one Eau de Toilette and the one Eau de Parfum, but the one Royal Night does not have tobacco or ginger, which are two of the main notes in those fragrances. Instead, this has more woods and spices in place of the tobacco and ginger. As it dries down, it does become more like the original The One, only with more cardamom and also nutmeg and sandalwood. Just like the one Eau de Toilette and Eau de Parfum though, the one Royal Night is a great date night fragrance. Really just a good night out fragrance in general. The one, the DNA in the one, is almost universally loved by women. And the one is one of my most complimented fragrances of all time. Now some people may crap on the one or say that it's generic at this point, whatever, but it does pull compliments. And one good thing about the one Royal Night is it has better performance than the one Eau de Toilette and the one Eau de Parfum. That's one of the knocks on the one. Performance here is not amazing, but it is better than those two. All right, that's gonna take me to 1219, and on that day I did something a little bit different. I layered two fragrances, which usually I don't do. It's not really my thing. And these two fragrances are very similar. I just wanted to see how it would work out. So I layered Creed Aventus and Tiziana Terenzi Orion. And Orion gets mentioned as a fragrance that's inspired by Aventus. So there are similarities. Of course, Aventus has notes like pineapple, musk, blackcurrant, birch, and ambergris. Orion shares a lot of those notes, but it also has oud, incense, and red currant instead of blackcurrant. So yeah, the way I did this was one spray Aventus, one spray Orion, one spray Aventus, one spray Orion. So 2 and 2. And when I first did that, the first 15 minutes or so, it smelled a little bit funky. Honestly, it didn't really smell that good. But after that first minutes, things started to settle down and it turned into a nice fragrance. The pineapple from Aventus and the pineapple for Orion, those kind of disappeared really. It smelled a lot like a woody version of Aventus with bits of musk and incense. So it did have kind of a smoky feel, almost even a peppery feel, even though there's no black pepper in either fragrance. It actually turned into a really nice wintertime fragrance. It was like a spicier, darker version of an Aventus type fragrance. Like I said, the opening though sucked, but once it got past that, it was really nice. I don't really need to tell you guys about Aventus and compliments. Along with the one, Aventus is one of my most complimented fragrances of all time. Orion being similar to Aventus, I figured that they would work well together and that it would just maybe be a slight change on the DNA of Aventus, and that's basically what it smells like. 1219, Orion and Aventus. Gonna take me to 1220, the last 2 days here. This one is a Bulgari fragrance. It's one that I bought not long after it was released. That's why I have a smaller personal size bottle of this one, because it was still fairly expensive. It is Bulgari Man in Black. And this one gets compared to Viktor & Rolf Spice Bomb. And I do have to tell you guys, it's pretty close. Now, there are definite differences between the two. It's not like this is, you know, straight up trying to 100% clone Spice Bomb. This one you could say is maybe like a more mature, grown-up version of Spice Bomb. Spice Bomb is sweeter than Man in Black. Man in Black is boozier than Spice Bomb. Also, Man in Black has rum, tonka, and a more prominent leather note than Spice Bomb does. And Spice Bomb has citrus in the opening with a well-defined cinnamon note, and it's just sweeter overall. Man in Black is boozy with a dry spice feel and a nice soft leather that gives a masculine edge. Really, really nice fragrance during the nighttime and cooler weather. I probably don't need to tell you guys, but Spice Bomb is a compliment magnet. Man in Black, also just the same. And really, I thought about going with Spice Bomb on this day, but I hadn't pulled out Man in Black for a while, so that's why I went with that one. It's gonna take me to the 21st, the last fragrance of the week. I wore a Carolina Herrera, one that really got hyped a lot around the time that it was released and for a year afterwards, but now it doesn't really get talked about that much. It's this one, Carolina Herrera CH Privé. It's got a flask type bottle, a cool lid. I do like it. Whiskey, leather, tonka, cardamom, some of the notes here. The opening is fruity and boozy, really appealing, really sexy, definitely sweet. And that's something a lot of these fragrances have in common, is that they're sweet. In general, women really, really do enjoy sweet fragrances. Or at least that's my experience. And this one dries down to a sweet leather with boozy and spicy tones. For me, it smells great the entire way through from the opening to the dry down. Now with this fragrance, a lot of people complain about bad performance. A lot of people say that they don't even get a dry down because it just leaves their skin so quickly. For me, not an issue. I spray it on 6 times, I'm good to go. Now I will tell you though, that my bottle here is a 2015 batch. So this is a bottle from the year that the fragrance was actually released. And this fragrance was apparently reformulated in 2017. That's where a lot of people say that they get bad performance. I don't have a 2017 bottle, so I can't compare my 2015, to a 2017 or 2018 bottle and tell you conclusively, oh yeah, it had great performance before and it's terrible performance now. To be fair, it never had great performance. I'm just saying in general, I can't do that. Performance is more average. But if you like sweet, boozy fragrances with a touch of spice and you haven't checked this out for some reason, you've got to do it. It's a compliment getter, it smells great. There's a reason that this was hyped. Alright guys, thank you so much for checking out my rotation from the past week. Compliment getters. Next week is going to be beast mode fragrances. So fragrances with just great performance and great projection. So that's the type of fragrance that I'm going to be choosing to wear for the next week. If you've got any themes for a rotation that you'd like me to wear, let me know in the comments and maybe I'll pick one out and try to match that theme for a week. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. Please let me know in the comments also what you've been wearing. Thank you so much again. Please like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.